Hi, I'm Julie King.
And I'm Amanda King.
And we're the King sisters.
Yep.
And the testimony we have to share tonight is about a miraculous saving intervention that the Lord did and truly saving our life in a terrible,
from a crazy freak accident.
Yeah, that's right. And then part 2 is about a healing that occurred
from a leftover injury, kind of, from the accident.
From that accident, yes. Yeah. Okay,
so minor injury, but injury nonetheless.
That's right. Okay, so this event took place a few years ago in
June of 2019.
2019. Okay, so a few years ago, we were at a family ranch that was hosting a wedding.
Yep.
And this was
an outdoor wedding.
It was an outdoor wedding.
And it was a
country theme.
Mm-hmm. And so instead of chairs, they had brought in big hay bales for everybody all the attendees to sit on.
Yes.
And it was really a beautiful ceremony.
Beautiful.
Bride and groom were beautiful. It went really well.
Yep.
And we stayed
a few more days
after the wedding, and so the next day we were helping
tear down
and stuff had to get returned and put back in place and stuff. And so one of the things that we were doing was taking the hay bales back down to the barn.
And the way the property was set up, it was like in 3 tiers. Mm-hmm. So the bottom tier was where the barn was and where we were taking the hay bales back. And then there was a middle tier, up a ways, where there was a big corral and some pasture land or whatever. And then going up to the top tier was where the main ranch house was. And then
where they had the ceremony.
Yeah, an area.
There was a big open space.
And a courtyard and all that.
Next to the house. And that's where they had the ceremony. So that's where all the hay bales were. And then on the far left side of the property, running the fence line, there was a path that went all the way up, past all of the tiers, from the bottom tier to the top, in a straight line. And so that was the path that we had been taking. We'd already done a couple of rounds
to go up on the tractor.
We were using their tractor, and I mean Julie and I weren't driving it, but we were helping load up the scoop of the tractor with these hay bales and then taking them down.
Yes.
And so our drivers, when we had gotten to the bottom on the last round, they switched up, so there was a different person driving us up, and then there was a person sitting on the scoop, and they had the scoop, instead of it being down like normal on a tractor, they actually had it up in the air.
Yeah, all the way up, and they were sitting in the scoop.
And they were sitting in the scoop, and then Julie and I were sitting on either side of the driver, because there were these little half seats for you to sit on, and then directly kind of in front of you were like metal pedals. Like, they didn't move, they were stationary, but you could put your foot on it to kind of brace yourself into place.
Yes, and that's an important detail, because you had found that, and then you had said, hey, you need to put your foot, remember it was specific, you need to put your foot on that little platform pedal there to help
kind
stay
of stationize
stable.
yourself, so that you could hold your position,
which ends up being important for
later on. So we start this third trip, and we're going up, and it wasn't like the property was steep like a mountain or anything, but it was a fairly steady incline.
It was a steady
going
incline.
Up through the different tiers.
Definitely.
And we were probably about halfway up. We were just kind of hitting that second tier level, and we kind of started to lose momentum, and the person in the front that had been riding in the scoop kind of leaned back and was like, hey dude, you need to give it more gas. Give us a little more power. And I don't know, it just all happened really quickly, but all of a sudden we kind of came to a total stop.
Yep.
Which,
on this incline,
but I was just like, well, we're just going to stop and then we'll start again. It's not anything to be concerned about. Until we started to slowly roll backwards, real slow. And I was like, well, we need to probably, use the brake or something, put the parking brake on, this thing on parking brake. I don't know. And, within a fraction of a second, we went from this barely, just hardly rolling backwards to, it was like an out-of-control train flying backwards.
It was so fast and so scary.
Just in... Literally, it seemed like less than a second. We were barely moving, and we are now flying backwards. And the way this path was positioned, it actually went, the barn was at the bottom of this path, but it was off to the right of us. So if we stayed coming straight back, we would have went past the barn and broken through the back fence line. And on the other side of that, there was like a ditch. And by that point, we probably would have been gaining so much speed that we probably would have popped through the ditch and come up cross the road that went behind the property and went into somebody else's property.
Yeah, probably.
And
if we'd still been on it by that time.
If we would have still been on it. So, but as we were coming down, I could feel our driver was starting to...
This path, though, too, we had the fence on the left side.
Yeah, and then on the right was like kind of...
trees.
There were a couple of little trees and kind of like shrubbery.
I just remember branches. I just remember branches being close to my head.
I mean, there wasn't a bunch of trees. I think it was just like one small tree, but it wasn't real big, so the branches would have been right at our head level, kind of.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, when we started to roll backwards, I thought Julie had bailed off to the right into this shrubbery area. So in my head, maybe I had to think that. I thought you were already off.
Right. But it was impossible really to get off because there was only a moment that we were sitting still. We didn't possibly imagine we were going to start going backwards. We already made this route a couple times. Like it just didn't register.
It happened so quick.
And that scoop was out too. So had I somehow managed to get off, that scoop
could have caught you.
Would have clipped me.
So as we're going back, our driver is starting to turn the wheel. So we are going to curve
at the bottom,
curve
on that
towards
bottom
the
tier.
barn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to have to jump. And I'm going to have to jump hard enough and far enough that I leave enough room for our driver to spill out after me. And I'm knowing that this thing is going to flip.
Yeah, it's going to roll.
And it has too much momentum. And we're going to make this sharp turn, it's going to roll.
Yeah. And
I need to make sure I'm far enough so that when it rolls, it can't roll on top of me.
Right.
And so,
scary.
So as it starts to make now this turn, as I feel it, I can feel that right side is starting to come up because it's getting ready to roll. I launch myself forward like in a Superman for whatever reason.
Like Superman.
A Superman pose. I've got my arms straight out like I'm flying. I've propelled myself forward and I hold that position through the air and I sail through the air
vertical. Boom.
And then I skid into the dirt and
get dirt in her face,
hit my chest and instantly knocks the wind out of me. So I have no breath and I land and I'm kind of just lifeless for a second, laying there trying to get, that horrible feeling when the air gets knocked out of your lungs. It's just and so I finally get my breath, and as I open my eyes and I turn and look to the right of me, there's Julie, in a pile about 5 feet, but totally parallel to me, and I'm thinking, how is she there? I thought that she got off before we even got to this point, right?
Right. No, that's not what, that is not what happened. Oh, and did you want to tell about the driver too?
Oh, and so our driver had, he had come out after me, but he was too, locked in to have really been able to jump far away. So he had gotten far enough, that the tractor didn't land totally on him. It had, caught his foot.
Yep.
And, but thankfully the dirt, it didn't feel like it when I hit it, but the dirt was softer. It wasn't real hard.
Thank goodness.
And so the tractor had kind of pinned his foot, but the dirt was soft enough that it didn't crush it. So he was okay.
Yeah.
And then the tractor itself, miraculously, as it had flipped, because the scoop was so high up, it got caught on the post of the fence and kept it from rolling, because otherwise
that roll.
Otherwise, if it had rolled, it would have got us. Yeah. It would have got our driver. It would have got Julie and me both. It would have crushed us.
Right.
For sure.
Yes. Well, and because I got next to you, because backing up just a little bit, This is the difference.
Difference in our personalities here. I knew I was going to jump. There was no hesitation. It was just getting the timing right.
And she's like Superman, total uses her muscles, just jumps as hard as she can. She flies vertically and she goes far enough to get past where this tractor would have crushed her and give room for the driver. Like, it's pretty amazing. And then there's me. So back up at the beginning, thankfully my foot was in the correct position without me realizing it. But so when the tractor had just paused, it was such a short pause too. And that was a surprise too. What had kind of been catching our attention is that we were slowing down. Why are we slowing down? And then all of a sudden we were actually stopped. And it's like, hey, what's up?
We were stopped for like a second. Then we're like, whoa, we're rolling.
We're going backwards. Yeah, we're rolling backwards. Oh my gosh, this isn't probably real good. And within
we should hit the brake. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh.
There's no brake, or the brake was not strong enough to hold the weight of the tractor with all the people on it. Whatever it was, there was no brake. It was going, and there was no way I could have flipped off the side. The momentum, the gravity was pulling me back with the tractor. And so as we're going, I don't know if it was the Lord himself or if it was my angel, but I heard him say, "You are going to have to jump." I was like, no, Lord, no, Lord, please, I don't want to jump. You could stop the tractor. You could stop it, your power. You just stop the tractor. Just stop the tractor. And he says it again. He's completely unmoved by my begging. He says it again. You are going to have to jump. Oh, that's so terrifying. It's going to hurt. It's so scary.
And when I jumped, the thought that went through my mind, which was my own thought, was I am too old for this.
Yeah. Well, yes, we were. She had no business jumping off a tractor like that. Okay, so she safely, has moments before me done her launch, which I can't see that, but you launched. And
you're arguing. You're not going to jump.
I don't want to jump. Begging him, telling him I fully believed he could just cause that tractor to stop. When he wasn't moved by that, he told me I had to jump. So I surrendered to him because I guess it was either that or rolling with the tractor. So I surrender. Okay. My foot's in the right position. It's like on this pedal thing, ready to launch. Kick off. Like I was going to kick off, but I had to wait. There was no way I could do anything while the gravity and momentum was pulling me straight into the tractor. I couldn't do anything.
No, yeah, you had to.
So I had to wait until it was rolling. Is what I had to do. So as the tractor starts to actually lift up to roll over, my foot, then I use the tractor. It's like it catapults me. It's like a launch, like a cannonball.
Yeah,
I'm a cannonball. Boom! And it launches me, and I fly airborne in this huge arc that goes over the rolling tractor and lands next to you a few feet away
on the
ground. And so I'm coming not straight through, I'm coming up and around with quite a bit of speed because that tractor now that has rolled, it has thrown me, and I jumped as hard as I possibly could from the platform. So I think I was moving pretty fast.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And so as I'm flying and I'm coming down now face first to the ground, second in interaction with this angel, I felt the angel hold my head, hold my face as I slammed into the ground. My face was held above the ground. It was held above the dirt. Now, the momentum, it twisted. I heard my neck go. It was a terrible, the worst, chiropractic movement or something, but terrible. And then I flipped over onto my side and pounded onto my hip. But my face had been held up off of the ground by these invisible, I couldn't see them, but I could feel the hands hold my face. There was no dirt on my face. My face didn't touch it.
That's impossible, really, because when I landed and when I, started to get up, I had actual dirt in my mouth. From hitting.
Yeah, and you had flown vertically, too, and I had literally come down and was coming down face first. So it was the Lord. But still, that terrible crack in my neck, happened. And then landing on my hip, it did not break my hip. But I did instantly have
you had like a massive goose egg,
like
bruise,
like a softball, but nothing broken, and the neck had cracked, and it was like hurt, but not hurt. It was
hurt, but
like
it
a
wasn't
whiplash
like
hurt.
Yeah, but it wasn't like
it wasn't broke or anything. No, it was more like a bad whiplash. Kind of thing.
And because the tractor had got hung up, like, we were totally protected, because if it had rolled even just one time,
it would have landed on us.
If it had rolled just one time, it would have crushed us.
Yes. Because there was no moving, because the air was, we couldn't move. We were caught. We weren't knocked out, but the air was knocked out.
But the air was knocked out of both of us, and so it takes a second to recover from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so the tractor was miraculously stopped, and we had cleared the tractor's path, and then we weren't injured horribly,
permanently, like,
in the actual jump, which that was miraculous too. I mean, it was a vehicle, and we jumped.
We jumped further than we really should have been able to. I think,
I agree.
It was totally miraculous. He absolutely protected us.
Absolutely protected us.
I mean, we were sore. Like, we were pretty sore the next couple days.
Beat up and bruised. That bruise was so ugly.
Yeah, that bruise was intense.
And then and then the neck, it was like a crick. You get a crick in your neck.
A crick in your neck.
It just never went away. It was like,
always kind of there.
Always kind of there, sometimes worse than others. And I mean, over the next couple years, it was just always there.
Yeah.
But the actual tractor accident, it was a miraculous saving. And even the tractor itself
was fine.
It wasn't
damaged.
It
wasn't even damaged. Like, once they got it flipped back, they used like a chain and a truck and got it flipped back up onto its 4 tires. It was just fine, which even that, I guess, was pretty miraculous, because the owner was really concerned that the tractor would be messed up bad. And
so the driver wasn't hurt. The foot had been stuck, but because of the way the dirt was, it wasn't smashed. It had been able to like get pushed into the dirt somehow, or cushioned it enough. The person who had been in the scoop, somehow
they just spilled off the front
immediately
before it really
started the momentum.
And they were perfectly fine.
And then
so I mean, the whole thing was really like absolutely miraculous,
and
other than this little leftover crick that Julie struggled with.
And really, used to tease that it was a reminder, honestly, that the Lord had saved our lives, because it was so close to us both being taken out at the same moment.
No kidding.
Like, really. Yeah. And so I kind of looked at it. It was inconvenient, but it reminded me kind of of how he had so miraculously saved us. And I had heard him tell me I was going to have to jump, and I argued, and then how he held my face. It was very, very miraculous. And I never wanted to be grumbly about it, because like the Lord, the angel had held my face up. Like, I didn't want to be like, well, you should have done it differently, because now I have this crick or whatever. I don't know. But he saved us. So then come just this summer.
Yeah, sometime this summer, we were kind of having just a spontaneous worship.
Yes. And the anointing that we talk about, that we love, that pulsating power of God manifested. And not expecting it, all of a sudden it went into that
spot of your neck.
Exact spot of where the crick just always sat, like whatever that was off, that was hurt, or whatever it was, it went in there, and I felt the pulsing, but like inside my neck, in that spot. It was just different. It's different than how it feels when it's going through our hands or anything. It was in there, and it was instantly healed.
Yeah.
Instantly. Like,
bam, gone. Right like there 1 second, next second gone.
All gone. It's still gone. It's gone. I'm totally and completely healed. Yeah. And it was like, what, 3 years later? Yeah. 2019 to 2022.
Oh, well.
So I don't know why, but so so miraculous, and we're so thankful.
Yes.
He's so good.
He's so good.
And we are just testifying of how he is a living, real God, a real Savior. He heals. He does supernatural things. He's so good.
Yes.
And the things he's done for us,
it's amazing.
He'll do for you too.
We love him. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We love him so much. He's so good.
He's always present and helps when we need it.
A present help in time of trouble, and it certainly was.
It certainly was.
Yeah, it was.
So that is our 2-part story for this week.
And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.